You do anything above the bare minimum and you just show people that you care about them and you support them, like sales come in. Like it's so easy to overthink this, but if you just take the reverse and say it's so easy to just be kind to people and be interested in what they're doing and listen to them instead of like scrolling, you will see results.
What's up and welcome back to the Scale Your Sales podcast. I am your host and your soon-to-be podcast BFF, Jillian Murphy. If you are absolutely exhausted of hearing the same podcast that only leaves you feeling motivated and just a bunch of fluff, well, you have absolutely landed on the right podcast today. In this episode, we are going to talk about the most important skill you need to generate your business, and that is sales. We are going to dive into topics such as messaging, marketing, how to build lead generation organically, and we are going to talk about how to create consistent cash months inside of your business. And we are also going to talk about how to build a company that isn't just about making money, but is also bringing in actual wealth, while getting back to what I know is your most important thing, time freedom. Now, I am here for real talk, real advice, straightforward tip, and no BS. You can always walk away and implement everything that we talk about in our show and move it into your business immediately. But I have to tell you, I am not your typical business mentor. We are going to talk about things that nobody else is probably talking about on the internet. We are going to talk about what it takes to build a real company and not just about how to manifest your business or how you can make $1 million tomorrow. But if that's what you're looking for, this podcast is absolutely not for you. We are going to talk about the real skills to build a real business. Now, I have spent over 25 years in the corporate sales space, generating over $100 million in sales through multiple industries in the online and the brick and mortar space. I have been able to help over 500 entrepreneurs not only grow their sales, but scale their businesses. Several times per week, I'm going to bring you solo episodes, guest episodes, and even hot seat coaching so that you are able to scale your sales. Now, grab a pen and paper, your beverage of choice, and let's freaking go. What's up, babes? Welcome back to the podcast. I am so pumped today because this is going to be a little bit different of an episode. I am actually being interviewed on my friend Taylor's podcast, who I am speaking at her event called the Power Table down in Florida at the end of April. And I had the opportunity to actually be interviewed by her before the event. And we talk about everything from selling in the DMs to your sales process to messaging or marketing. But it's going to be a little bit different because you guys are going to hear me on the other side of the mic being interviewed by one of my really good friends. So take a listen and then also head over to her podcast and check her out. She has a ton of great guest experts and she also drops straight fire on her show as well.
I have ever connected with in person and online, and we have a lot of mutual friends in like the conference, online business space, in-person event space. And Jillian is honestly just a huge wealth of knowledge. I'm so excited to have her on the show. And today she's also going to share with you guys some tips for building relationships and selling in the DMs and really just kind of cultivating authentic connections and how that helps you grow your sales and increase your revenue in your business. So thank you so much for being here, Jillian. Hi, I'm so excited to talk to you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I love anytime I can get on a podcast and pour into other people's audience. And obviously, I'm such a big fan of you. We obviously met at an event and I'm coming down to your event. So yeah, I'm really excited for this conversation today.
Would you start by sharing a little bit about your story? And what I know a little bit of is like, you had a layoff. You weren't necessarily like planning your exit from corporate. And I definitely want you to share about that because I am a big like pivot fan. I feel like there's so much value in pivots and like how the most successful people make the most of those big transitions and big, like sometimes unexpected opportunities. And so would you share a story of like how you got to be an entrepreneur and what that journey has looked like along the way?
Yeah. And this is actually going to be a really interesting story because it all began at an event. So this is like going to be like a full circle moment. So I was actually in corporate. I was in corporate for 22 or 23 years. And I had a group of friends that were in the digital space and some really big names. One was a fitness coach. One was a PR agency coach. And they were heading down to LA to go to a mastermind. I had no idea what a mastermind was. They were talking about Chris and Lori Harder. I had no idea who these people were. And they were like, hey, you should come to this event with me. And I was like, hey, 4 days in LA with my girlfriends, like I'm totally down. So I flew to LA, had no idea what this thing was. It was like a 4-figure investment. And I went. And I was a ride or die corporate person. Like I used to say, if I could tattoo my company's name on my forehead, like I was not going anywhere. But I went to an event. I had a really great time. I got to learn a lot about like digital marketing and entrepreneurship and all these things. And I always joke that Chris Harder's been my mentor for 4 years, but it was really his brother that birthed my business. And I was sitting at lunch that day with Nick Harder, and he was like, what do you do in the corporate space? And I said, oh, I'm a corporate sales exec and a corporate sales trainer. And he said, you know, like we have 100 people in this room that actually need you and would like throw their dollars at you. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I don't really know what you guys do. And I went back to corporate. 7 days to the date, I lost my corporate job. I went back to my notebook and I was like, what was that guy's name that I sat next to? And I literally slid into Nick Harder's DMs and I was like, hey, I lost my job in corporate. I think I need a business coach. Who of those people in that room you think you could like help me? And he obviously said my brother, but there's also someone else in that room I think that could help you. And that was really where I started. From there, you know, we hit our first 6 figures in 6 months. We hit our first $500,000 in 18 months. And then, you know, the sky's kind of been the limit ever since then.
Wow, that's so crazy. And everything kind of happens when it's supposed to happen. It's just like we have no idea at the time, right? So you're basically like, hey, you remember that thing you said where people would give me dollars? Like now's the time that I need the dollars.
Yeah. And it was so funny because I remember I didn't even have an Instagram profile. Well, I was a fitness competitor for almost a decade. So I had like a huge fitness Instagram, but I didn't have like a business Instagram. So all I had was a Facebook page, and I generated my first 6 figures out of a Facebook group. I didn't even have an Instagram. And I remember I did my first launch. It was $1,200. It was this program. It was a $68,000 launch. And I was like, this is a real thing. Like people really pay you to coach them. And then I was like, if I could do this once, I could do it again. And then I could charge more and I could bring more people in and I could create more products. And that's really like how it snowballed. But even to our like first 6 and even like 6.5, I didn't even have an Instagram. I was doing everything out of a Facebook group, which I think people need to hear that too, because you don't need to be this like huge person in the online space to make a hell of a lot of money.
Oh, that's such a valuable thing to say, because so many of us Instagram girls, like we love to neglect Facebook, right?
Oh my God.
And like LinkedIn's the hot spot right now. Everyone wants to hang out on LinkedIn and like all these things are valuable. It's great. But I was at my own mastermind that I host. We have an in-person weekend twice a year. And in January, one of the people who came, she has a huge Instagram. She owns a social media agency. They run a local tourism company. And she's everywhere on social. And I was so surprised when what she said to other people in the mastermind, she was like, Facebook's algorithm is king. You're never going to beat it anywhere else. Like if you have to pick somewhere to show up, like pick Facebook. And she has 80,000 Instagram followers. So I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I get better results on Facebook.
Yeah, it's crazy. And people are even surprised by this. So we generated multiple 6 figures out of our Facebook group. There's only 1,300 people in my Facebook group. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, she probably has a Facebook group of like 20,000 people or like 30,000 people or like there's all this stuff. No, I have 1,200 of the right people that any single time I go in there, and I'm not as active anymore because my capacity doesn't allow me to. But when I first started, I was doing lives every day. I was like, hey, who wants to jump on a quick like 20-minute call? Like I was in there so much, and it was 1,200 people that needed sales help. So it was like a gold mine for me at the beginning.
I love too that you just said that your strategies have changed, like started versus now. Totally. That's something that people don't talk about a lot or talk about often enough, is that when you're just starting, it is going to be really, it's kind of a beautiful opportunity that you have, right? Like you have to do these kind of things like every single day. You're going to show up live. You're going to do all these free classes, all these free trainings. And then once you have an offer that works and a community that's sending you, leads, then maybe it's down to like once a month you're going live or something, right? But I actually kind of love that part in the beginning because you get to do so much and there's a lot less pressure. And if only 2 people saw you because you went live and you like, it was really cringe, guess what? Only 2 people saw it. It's kind of a beautiful space.
It really is. And I think that unfortunately, I'm a very honest coach and a very honest individual. I think that there's not enough people in the online space, coaching particularly, that are talking about the things that you actually need to do in the beginning. Like you have to do that like gritty work.
Yep.
You have to do that like non-sexy work because that's what gets you to the place. I would never have the business that I have today if I wasn't doing cringy Facebook videos, if I wasn't literally DMing everyone on Facebook and being like, hey, I'd love to get to know you. Do you want to get on a coffee chat? Because I got so much market research, even down to I host a networking call every single Wednesday. And I've been hosting the same call for 3.5 years. Like I don't miss it. It's a free call. And people are like, why are you still hosting this free call at the business that you have now? It's like, because it works. So why change something that works? And also, honor the people that have been with you on the journey too.
Yeah. That's that right there. And we could just end the podcast literally right there because so many people are like, oh, you're going to scale and take yourself out of the business. And no, like that's not why you start the business. It's not ethical. And it's also probably at some point you're going to tank your own business if you choose to do that. And so like figure out what works, keep replicating it, but also honor those people who have showed up for you. Whenever I'm invited to stuff, free, paid, like if someone in my community or someone I know invites me to something, like I'm going to do my absolute best to be there, even if it's maybe not the perfect fit for me, even if like I already know the information, but if someone took the time to specifically invite me, like I'm going to be the kind of person who shows up.
Yeah, it is so true. And I think it's really important. So we have like almost an 80% retention percentage in our business, which is pretty unheard of in the online space. But part of it is because it's like you have to honor the people that built your business with you. You know, they were there, they were showing up at your master classes, like they took a chance on you, all of those things. So it's like just because you're growing and scaling, don't lose sight of your actual roots. And there's so many things in my business that I do not turn over because it was like, it's what got me here. And I'm not willing to turn it over just because I've gotten to a place that I have monetarily in my business.
Yeah. I was just talking to someone the other day on we went on like a coffee and walk chat because she happens to be local, even though we met online, and it was the most amazing, like, let's get coffee and walk 3.5 miles. And I was like, sign me up for this. And my husband's like, please don't get kidnapped. And I was like, I promise you, she's a real human. And we were talking about how like what to outsource and like where we're scaling. And I was telling her all the things that I'm doing. And she's like, do you have a team? And I was like, well, yes, like I have some subcontractors who work with me. My sister works with me in my business. So like I have people, but actually for me, the things that I really spend a lot of my like outsourcing bucket on is like stuff that I truly can be taken out of. So like meal prep, laundry, like can I extract myself from everything like that so that I can hold on to the things in my business that I want to show up for? Like I don't want someone else answering my DMs, to be honest.
No one's in my DMs ever. No one's creating my content. No one's doing it. Like people are shocked when I like send them a voice memo. They're like, oh my gosh, is this actually you? I'm like, this is the most important thing in my business is like human connection and selling. Why would I ever give this up to somebody else? No one has the same passion for my business. Nobody wants to make money in my business like me. Like, why would I ever give this away? And even at the business that we have today, I mean, I know you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, right? Like we're running a 7-figure business over here. I have one teammate. And people are like shocked by that. And it's like, you just got to delegate out smart. And I think one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs do wrong is they delegate way too much out and then they have no profit left.
Right.
Like we're insanely profitable because I have one person that I'm paying, but I pay him out so smart versus like all these random people in my business. And then at the end of the day, it's like I have no cash left.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that could be a whole other podcast for sure. I need to have like 3 different people on to talk about that on the podcast. But I want to talk about today a concept I've seen you talking about on social, which is return on relationships. So we talk about ROI a lot. And you've been using this term ROR, return on relationships. I want you to tell me, like, what does that mean and why do people need to focus on this in their business?
Yeah, I think this is so important. I think that so many people, whether you're investing in a coach or a mentor or a mastermind or going to an event, you're so quick to be like, how quickly can I make my money back? How quickly can I make my $1,200 back from an event or my $6,000 back from a mentor? But you're actually missing the most important thing that hopefully that mentor or that community or that event or that network is getting you. And what that's getting you is proximity to other people. And when you have proximity to other people, you have relationship capital, right? One of my good friends and mentors, Jeff Fenster, always says, like, you have a relationship bank. And when you start to build a relationship bank, this is where you will see your business skyrocket, and not always monetarily, but opportunities, right? And then once you have opportunities, then the money comes after. And I think so many people don't actually pay attention to this. And I actually want to share like a full circle moment on here to have this make sense. I'm in a mastermind that's over $50,000 a year. A lot of people would be like, oh my gosh, as soon as I get into this mastermind, I got to make my 50 grand back, right? But it's not always about how quickly can I get in this mastermind and make 50 grand back, or how quickly can I get in this mastermind and get a client inside of there. It's the long game. So this is my 4th year in this mastermind. So, also do the math. I've invested a lot of money in this mentor. So last year we had a speaker come, his name was Jeff Fenster. And I said to myself last year, I'm going to get on this guy's radar. He's not someone that's like really accessible, right? I'm going to get on this guy's radar. So the day he spoke in our mastermind, I slid into his DMs, which I also teach, like building authentic relationships in the DMs. So I slid into his DMs and we built a full-blown relationships in the DMs. Like, I supported him on his podcast. I share out his book. I share his content, which people who are higher level, that's the best compliment you can give them. Share their podcast, share their book, write on their content, because that's all that they have. About 6 months after, I asked him to come on my podcast, totally detached. He came onto my podcast. It was amazing. From there, I just kind of dropped hints like, hey, when you're ready for me to come on your podcast, like, let me know, right? He's got the #3 business and entrepreneurial podcast out there. So it's a huge, massive show. About 9 months later, we were talking again in the DMs and he's like, I got to get you out to San Diego to get you on my podcast. So let's just stop there. Once I get on that podcast, like, my visibility, my name, my brand, all of those things are going to go crazy because I'm going to be on his show. And it also gives you like clout in the space. Once you're on a big show, people are like, oh my gosh, of course you can come on my show. I mean, look at our friend Shelby, right? She was just on Trent's show. It's like, once people see you on a big show, it's like, well, of course she can come on my show because she was on his show. So that's why you want to get on bigger shows. Then 2 weeks ago, I'm talking to him in the DMs and I was like, hey, Jeff, I want to buy 50 of your books for my event. And he was like, oh, tell me about your event. What do you have? What's this event you have? Now, and just to preface this, he just came off of the Aspire tour, which is like 10,000 people at each event. Okay. So he's speaking in like massive auditoriums. And I was like, oh, I just have this like little baby event in Scottsdale with 40 entrepreneurs. And he's like, oh, I'm going to be there for my daughter's horse show. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, enjoy Scottsdale. Right. And he's like, do you want me to speak at your event? And I was like, hell yes, I do. Right. So it was a full year that this took. Me nurturing the relationship, me building a rapport with this person, me sharing them out. But so often we go to an event and we're like, I didn't get anything out of this. Nobody talked to me. But you also have to ask yourself, like, what are you doing? How are you connecting after an event? How are you following up? And one of the best things that you can actually ask somebody at an event is like, what are you working on right now? And what are you excited about? And then serve that person. Because now it's the law of reciprocity, right? If I meet Taylor at an event and I'm like, Taylor, what are you working on right now? And she's like, oh, I'm working on building out an event in Destin, Florida. And I'm really looking for a photographer over there. And I'm like, oh, I actually know someone in Destin. Let me send them. Now I send it. I become valuable to her. There's the law of reciprocity. When I need something, I can go back and withdraw from this bank account. So that's my ROR.
Oh, I love that. There were so many good pieces in there, but like the first thing I want to say is like, people are taught that they should expect instant gratification from relationships. And like what Jillian just said, if you're listening to this podcast, is like, you might have to put in a year, but that relationship is worth so much more than that. Like, you're going to get leads from that podcast interview and the fact that he spoke at your event for 10 years, like literally probably until you sell your business and you retire. Like, that is going to send you leads for that long. And so it's just so crazy that people think like, if I don't get one client from attending an event, like I lost money on that ticket. And I'm like, no. Like, I generally think of a year, but like easily it could be 5 years. It could be, it could be the key to the next thing you want to do. Like, full transparency, I'm throwing my conference. Like, the reason I'm building this is so that I can get picked up by a book publisher in 5 years. Like, this conference is not for this year. It's not to feel good. It's that I need 5 years. Maybe it's not 5 years. Maybe it happens in 3 years. I don't know. I don't have to care about that. But like, I need that content, that credibility, those people on my stage, so that like when I'm ready to publish that book, self-publishing isn't my only option. Totally. And it's not that there's anything wrong with self-publishing, but for me, I'm like, if I want to get picked up by a publisher, like there's a runway for that. So I need to spend the next 5 years building that reputation.
Yeah. And I think what is so important too, and I hope you guys are hearing this, she actually has a plan. Because I'm going to be real honest on this podcast. Most of you have no plan. You're just trying to get your next client. You're trying to make your next buck. You're going to your next event and you don't even know what's ahead of you in 3 months, 6 months, let alone a year. But if you want to build an actual business and you want to build an actual company that generates wealth, that changes the trajectory of your life, that is a book deal, that's all of these things, you need to get really clear of what you're actually building and then reverse engineer it. So I love so much that you're like seeing so far ahead, because 99.9% of entrepreneurs are just worried about where they're going to make their next buck.
Yes. Yeah. And that's expensive. Like, if we're to flip that on the other side, like paying attention to only where's your next client going to come from? What am I going to post on Instagram today to make my next sale? Like, that's expensive because you are so short-sighted. You miss out on those long-term opportunities and building those long-term relationships. Like, if you're looking at every conversation as, if that person doesn't buy from me today, like, it's a loss. Instead of looking at that as a bank you're depositing in over time. And when you need to withdraw from it, you can. And in the process, you've served all these amazing people. You've made all these amazing connections. I guarantee you'll make friends. Like, it's impossible not to walk away with amazing friends in that process. Like, there's so many benefits to it.
Yeah. For people who are coming to your event or listening to this podcast, I think another thing too is like, when I go to events, I'm not there to make friends with 75 people. I'm not there to be like a maniac and try to connect with, 50 people or 75 people. I get really clear of like, if I can walk away with 5 or 10 really good conversations or 5 or 10 really good people that I want to follow up with, then this is where it's at. Because I see that too. People go to events and they're like all over the place, right? And they're just like talking to everyone. And that's great if that's your personality, but going into an event with more intentionality of like, hey, I want to get 5 really great connections here that we can build like maybe 5 podcasts after this. Or I want to go into this event, like, I know for me, like even coming to your event, it's like my intention is, one, to serve your audience to the highest capacity I can, but it's like podcasting is really where I'm trying to like grow right now. So it's like not talking to 75 people, but who in that room has podcasts that we could do a swap or we can share it. It's like, so it's like, get really clear of like what your intention is before you go to an event, and then really working that the time that you're in that room.
That was so good. Everyone do exactly that. And that's what I tell everyone, like, hey, walk away with 3, walk away with 5, like pick one goal, and like, either your goal is education. So you're going to walk away, like pick 3 action steps you can take, or walk away with those connections if that's your goal, whether that's specific connections such as podcasting. And if you are coming to the Power Table Live, we are also doing something really cool. We're doing kind of structured, like done for you networking. You've probably never seen this as a conference before. So I'm literally just going to tease you guys with this, but we built in a way for you to walk in and easily make those specific connections, so that it takes off some of that pressure. Because there's a little bit of anxiety when you walk in of like, I need podcast guests, but I literally don't know who to talk to, who has a podcast.
An event and you're by yourself and there's like 3 pockets of women here and 2 pockets of women here. And you're like, oh, I feel like I just walked into high school and like nobody wants to be my friend. So maybe I'll just go like cry in the bathroom. Like I've been there, guys. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've worked out a way to make sure that you leave with the connections you came for. And I'm so pumped and so excited about it. I cannot wait. You're just going to have to come because I'm not going to tell anyone on the podcast what it is. You're going to have to be there to figure it out. So Jillian, I want to know, like, what are some tangible or actionable strategies that we could wrap up on when it comes to, building those relationships? And then, like, at what point do you start to introduce either a sales pitch, like if we're talking to a potential client, or at what point do you know how to then make an ask, like cash in on that relationship?
So do you mean like selling in the DMs?
Yeah. And so that might not necessarily be a sale of an offer. Maybe it's some kind of exchange or collaboration. Like, at what point do you like tangibly do that?
Yeah. So I'm going to answer this two different ways because it's two different answers. Number one, if it's a collaboration partner or it's someone that I'm looking to make a withdrawal from, I'm going to serve them first. So I'm going to say, hey, Taylor, I'd love to support your event. What can I do for it? Do you want to come on to my podcast? I'll give you a full example. There's a woman who hosts the biggest women empowerment event here in Detroit. I moved from Detroit, but she was from Detroit. So my goal eventually is to be on her stage. I'm not going to ask her to be on her stage. I'm not going to ask to be a speaker. She doesn't even know me. So how did I start that? Hey, I'm formerly from Detroit. I'd love to have you on my podcast. I have a huge listening audience here in Detroit. Like, come on the show and talk about your event. I'm going to serve her first, right? Then when her event starts to get put out, I'm going to share it out. And she's going to start to see my name like, wow, that's so cool. This person who literally has never done anything is just sharing out my stuff. So number one, be of service first. Then after you've been of service, then you are absolutely okay to go ahead and make that ask. But there's nothing worse and nothing more cringy than someone like sliding into my DMs and being like, hey, Jillian, I'd really love to speak at your event. Or, hey, Jillian, I'd love to be on your podcast. It's like, of course you do. I have a great podcast, but you've never shared it. You've probably never listened to it. And I literally don't know you. So like, back up, do some of those things first. And then like, let's talk about that. Because if you share my show, and let's tell you this right on the podcast, you share my show and I see your name in my DMs multiple times, I will 100% just invite you on the show because I'm like, they're trying to get their name out there and I want to support them. So that's from a collaboration standpoint. From a selling standpoint in the DMs, you guys, we've closed over 7 figures in the DMs, and this answer is probably going to shock you. I never pitch in the DMs. I never make an ask in the DMs because my content does 99.9% of the heavy lifting for me. So in the DMs, I am only building relationships. I am only building rapport. Looks like you were on vacation. Looks like we're both entrepreneurs. What are you working on? Like, there is very little business chatter going on. It's like, Shelby, your body is rocking these days. Like, tell me about Pilates. Like, what are you up to? Right? Like, it is just real life, genuine conversations. Then, because of the algorithm of Instagram, because we're talking in the DMs, the content is going to get pushed to them. They're going to see that I'm a business coach. They're going to see I help people make a hell of a lot of money. They're going to see that I know what I'm doing. They're going to see that I focus on messaging, marketing, and content, so that now they're like, oh, this girl Jill is really cool. Hopefully you think that of me in the DMs. And then you're like, this is the service that I need. So I'm now going to reach out to her. So almost every one of our sales in the DMs starts with someone reaching out to me, but it's because of everything I'm doing on the back end to build relationships, nurture relationships, and then my content is feeding them.
That was so helpful. If you're listening to this, what you can take from what Jillian just said is something I've talked about many times before, but like, literally just be a human, right? Like, serve other people, show up for people. So many people today are doing the bare minimum. Like, we are checked out of relationships. The US is in a loneliness epidemic. If you do anything above the bare minimum and you just show people that you care about them and you support them, like, sales come in. Like, it's so easy to overthink this, but if you just take the reverse and say, it's so easy to just be kind to people and be interested in what they're doing and listen to them instead of like scrolling, you will see results. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see like you on my stage. I'm so pumped. And if you are coming, pull Jillian aside, talk to her about your sales, talk to her about what you're doing. she is always willing, I think, to have that conversation and help and support.
Absolutely.
I mean, Jillian, you've been in my DMs for like 2 years, and I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, I'm always like serving first, like whatever you guys need. Like my DMs are always open, and you just heard it on this podcast. I'm never going to pitch you. I'm never going to hard sell you. So like, just come over to my DMs, get to know me, come over and say hello. And if you are going to be in Florida, like I want to get to know you and give you a big hug.
For anyone who is interested in learning more and they need help with sales, what do you have going on that you want to share about right now?
Yeah, so we have our signature program. It's open all the time. It's called Infinity. We've been running it for 18 months. We've taken over 60 entrepreneurs through it to date. And it is a incredible program on messaging, marketing, sales, pricing, offers, and closing. But what really makes it different than anything else out there is it's not a program of learning. It's really a program of implementation and integration. So that's really what kind of makes it different. Like you think about having like a sales ninja in your pocket for anything that you need on a daily basis. So that's what we have. If you want to learn more about it, feel free to come out. And then I host a webinar every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. PST time every Wednesday, where it's all about mastering DM selling. So feel free to come to that. It's totally free, and I'd love to pour into you.
I will put the links to that in the show notes. Definitely go check it out if you're struggling with sales. This is what you need for your next step. I promise you, Jillian is a wealth of knowledge. Based on everything you just heard on this podcast, you're going to want to go check out those links. Jillian, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah, absolutely. Great interview for sure. Let me know when it comes out. I'll share it.
Okay.
Throw it out to my email list. Throw that audio my way. I'll also put your links in my thing, and let's definitely drive some ticket sales to you.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Scale Your Sales podcast. If today's episode has you fired up, would you do me a huge favor and leave a review over on Apple or Spotify podcast? Or, of course, you can always take a screenshot and share it on your social media. That is the way we grow this show, and so that other people can absolutely learn how to grow their sales as well. I am on a mission to change the mindset of sales. I want people to freaking love sales, because the reality is sales is the foundation of everything you do. It's how your business generates revenue consistently. So remember, keep showing up and being unapologetic about selling, because once you fall in love with selling, the sky is absolutely the limit. Until next time, happy selling, and my DMs are always open. I can't wait to get to know you better.